Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Donovan, and today we're going to do a quick comparison of the Earbuds for an AirPod clone to the actual Apple AirPods. Now, just for those of you that are interested, I have also done a review of the i10 TWS, so I'll leave a link down in the description where I compare these up to the Apple AirPods. Now, if you're also interested in a comparison of the Earbuds 4 or the i10 TWSs, just let me know in the comments down below because they're both Apple AirPod clones. They're both around $40. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. So first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual box. These are the Earbuds 4. Here is the AirPods. So you can see the box is just slightly bigger. Now I do like that this one actually has kind of like that raised AirPod. You can actually feel it there. Same thing here on the AirPod box. That's cool that they've actually kind of copied that in a way, and it's a little bit glossy there. And then on the back you can see very similar to the AirPods there as well. Notice that there's a little dot there missing, and they don't have that sensor up there either. So a couple little sensors missing here on the box, but we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. Now you can see they both have lightning cables here. That's because they do both charge via lightning, and this one actually comes with a lightning cable in the box as well. Now you can see these are from a company called Wiwu. These are the Earbuds 4. Now just for a point of reference, Wiwu does also sell the i10 TWSs, and they're both $40, so just a heads up there. Now let's go ahead and actually take a look at the earbuds themselves, and then we'll compare them up and talk about the functionality of the two. So this is the i10 TWS, and this is the actual Apple AirPod. So one thing you'll notice right off the bat, I don't know if you can see it right there, there's a little blue indicator light that actually goes away once you have them connected up to a device. So just a heads up there, that blue light is only when they're trying to connect with something, and because right now they're not connected, that's why that blue light is there. So on an Apple AirPod there is no lights, which is nice. That's actually definitely my preference, and just for a point of reference, the i10 TWSs have no lights ever as well. Now, in terms of the actual build, you'll see that this one has a little microphone here. Over here, this is a touch-sensitive piece, so you actually use that to do a number of gestures, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. Other than that, the only real major difference in terms of the build is that little dot there is missing over here on the Earbuds 4. That's a proximity sensor here on the AirPods, so it's going to let the earbud or the AirPod know that it's in your ear, so that when you take it out, it automatically pauses your music. You don't have that here on the Airbud 4. Now, notice it does have that one there, but it doesn't actually work as a proximity sensor like it does here on the AirPod. And then another major difference here is that one has a little L. This one has a much larger L there for left earbud. And then down here at the bottom, this is probably the biggest difference actually, other than that little dot, and that is how they charge. So see how this one has, it's basically just going to have a couple of a positive and negative charge here on the bottom of the case. So that's why that looks just like that, and that's why there's like actually that little gap there in the middle, because one's positive, one's negative. Over here we just have a couple of pins, so you can see there's a pretty obvious difference there as well. In terms of the actual size though, they are very, very similar. It does appear to me like the Airbud 4 might be just a little bit thicker, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's just for me. So anyways, that is the actual earbud. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the cases. And this is one where the Earbuds 4 actually do a better job of mimicking the actual AirPods, because here is the i10 TWS case, and right off the bat you notice that the front here is different, and then down here all those little dots, those are like little LED indicators letting you know how much charge is left. So that's actually kind of an advantage, but over here with the i10, or sorry, the Earbuds 4, you don't have any kind of indicator light here. If you push this button, that's actually going to charge them, so they don't just charge when you plug them in. So let me just go ahead and show you that real quick. So I'm going to plug this one in to the case, so they do magnetize in there just like you do get with the AirPods, so you can see they're holding in there. Now notice that there's no indicator lights or anything like that. I actually have to push the button for them to start charging. That is not true with the AirPods. As soon as you plug them in, or as soon as you put them in this case, they charge up instantly. Same thing with the i10 TWSs. These you just plug in. As soon as you put them in, they're going to start charging immediately as well. So that is one major difference. Notice this one has a button here on the front that is not present here on the AirPods. And then when you go on the back, they pretty much look identical. They both have that little mechanical mechanism there to hold it tight. I will say that this one is not as tight. It doesn't feel like it holds quite as well. The magnet isn't as strong holding this down, but it still obviously works. Over here you can has a nice satisfying snap to it. But then this one has a button down here, whereas that one's not here. It's on the front instead. So kind of interesting. I'm not sure why they chose to put the button here on the front versus on the back here on the actual AirPods. All right, so we've talked about some of the build differences. Now let's go ahead and talk about the actual differences between the two. All right, so first of all, let's talk about sound quality, because obviously sound quality is going to be important. I'm actually going to pull both of these out. That's going to instantly connect them up to my Google Pixel 3 XL. So obviously these will work with both Android and iOS. So you can see here they right away picked up, and we'll pull them down here. So they're at 70% battery because I did have them out for quite a while there just a moment ago. All right, so we'll take a look at some of the functionality here in just a little bit. So they automatically connect as soon as you pull them out of the case. That's awesome, just like you would get with the AirPods. Obviously, you don't have that W1 chip, but it will still show you the battery indicator, just like you saw there with an Android phone or an iOS phone as well. All right. So in terms of sound quality, I would say the AirPods sound quite good. I give them like a 4.3 out of 5. The biggest negative here being the fact that there's absolutely no noise isolation, and it doesn't matter how many reviews you watch of the AirPods. That's probably the biggest negative, is that there's no noise isolation, so you're going to hear everything outside quite good. And that's actually the exact same thing here with the what are these? The Airbuds 4. So I would say sound quality is just as good as the AirPods, and I honestly think the AirPods sound quite good. A lot of people don't like the sound quality. Personally, I think they sound quite good. Like I said, a 4.3 out of 5. Good amount of bass and good low and highs as well, or sorry, mids and highs as well. Nothing amazing, not super punchy bass or anything like that, but still quite good. And that's pretty much right where I would say the Earbuds 4 are as well. So that's actually in my opinion, a very good thing about the Earbuds 4. Now, I will also say that these, again, do not have any kind of noise isolation. So if you want to be able to hear the outside, you're going to hear it very well with the Earbuds 4, just like you do with the AirPods. So that is the sound quality. Now, an area where they do drastically differ from the actual AirPods. So one huge advantage of the AirPods is the battery life. These actually have very good battery life. In fact, with a single charge, you're getting about 5 hours of music with the AirPods. And that is definitely not the case of the Earbuds 4. So they claim 2.5 hours, and I will be honest with you, I've used them for now 3 days, and I have never gotten 2.5 hours. I would say I'm getting more like 2 hours every single time. 2.5 hours, they say, is at whatever the initial volume is at, and I'm not really sure what that initial volume is, but I've only been getting about 2.5 hours. So that is definitely a negative. Sorry, I get like more like 2 hours. So less than half of the battery life you get with the AirPods. Now, these are only $40. These are 160, so that's obviously a price you're paying in order to get that. Now, one other difference is the fact that we already mentioned that these do charge up via Lightning, so same thing here, but these will also charge. The case itself charges by setting it onto a wireless charger. So if you have a Qi wireless charger, the actual Earbuds 4 case will charge on that charger. So that's really cool. And it charges in about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on if you use wireless charging or wired. If you use wired, it's an hour. If you use wireless charging, it's an hour and a half. The Earbuds 4 do also have pretty fast charging. I would say a full charge in the case is only about a half hour, whereas a full charge of the AirPods is about 15 minutes. So about twice the amount of time, but still half an hour is pretty good for a pair of true wireless earbuds to charge up. So even though these do fast charge and they charge a little bit faster, half an hour is really not bad. Typically, it's more like an hour. So like with the i10 TWSs, it takes about a full hour for them to charge up in this case. So these are about half that time. So that is one advantage, but again, only 2 hours on a single charge. And inside the case, you're getting about 3, maybe 4 extra charges. So at best, you're getting maybe 10 hours of battery life between the actual earbuds and the case. Whereas over here, like I said, you get 5 hours on a single charge and you get about 4 extra charges, so a total of 25 hours. So 4 times 5 plus the initial 5, so 25 hours is about what you're getting with the AirPods. So obviously much better battery life over there. So now let's talk about the phone call quality because that's another area where they differ quite a bit. So AirPods have fantastic phone call quality, and that is definitely one area where the AirPods are hard to beat when it comes to true wireless earbuds. There are definitely some that do compare, but these have fantastic call quality. I can use these in any environment for a phone call. Over here on the Earbuds 4, the call quality is acceptable. So if these were like a 9 out of 10 for phone call quality, I would say these are more like a 6 out of 10. So that is the microphone there. And they work. You can use them. Obviously, you get phone calls from both earbuds. The person on the other end is going to be able to hear you quite well, but they will also hear the outside noise quite a bit as well. So they are usable, but if you're in a noisy environment, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Earbuds for phone calls. So now let's go ahead and talk about the connectivity of the earbuds to whatever device they're connected up to. So first of all, if you're using the AirPods, they are amazing when it comes to connectivity. I believe they're using an older version of Bluetooth 4.2, but because of that W1 chip, if you connect them up to an iPhone, you can get upwards of 30 to 50 meters away from your actual phone before they start to lose connection, which is really fantastic. So connectivity on the AirPods is absolutely fantastic. Now, the Earbuds 4 are actually using Bluetooth 5.0. I'm not sure if it says that somewhere here on the box. It doesn't look like it unless it's in Chinese there. So these use Bluetooth 5.0, which is awesome. That's actually the same thing you get with the i10 TWSs. So what that means is they do stay connected to each other quite well. I haven't had a whole lot of disconnects between the earbuds themselves, whereas with the AirPods, I tend to not have disconnects ever. It does happen on a very rare occasion, but with the earbuds, it's a little bit more common. The difference here being typically with Bluetooth 5.0, I'm able to get about 30 meters away from my device before I start to lose signal, and that is pretty much what I can get with the i10 TWSs. But over here with the Earbuds 4, the connectivity just isn't as strong, so I've been getting more like 10 meters, which is kind of like older versions of Bluetooth. So even though they're using Bluetooth 5.0 and they stay connected to each other very well, the distance I can get away from my phone is not as good with the Earbuds 4. I would say more like 10 meters, so about 30 feet away from my device before they start to lose connection. So that is definitely a disadvantage there. All right, so I want to go ahead and conclude this video with just a quick discussion of whether I think these things are worth the $40 asking price that Wiwu is asking for the Earbuds 4. And my answer is, well, it depends. If you're looking for something that looks a whole lot like AirPods, and in fact, you could probably fool your friends into thinking you're wearing AirPods, then yeah, these are probably a good option. The sound quality is quite good. Definitely for me, the biggest negative is that battery life. 2 to 2.5 hours for me just isn't quite good enough for what I want. I wish it was more like 3, even 3.5 hours. If it could be 5 hours like the AirPods themselves, then yeah, that would be even better. But with 2 and 2.5 hours of battery life, that's definitely on the shorter end. Basically, you can watch one movie and the batteries are dead. You're gonna have to plug them back in and wait half an hour before they charge back up. So that's probably the biggest negative for me. Outside of that, the fact that they wirelessly charge on the case, they use Lightning to charge up the case themselves. Connectivity is still quite good, even though it's not as good as what you get with the AirPods. They're still good. They stay connected to each other very well. Overall, the Earbuds 4 are a good AirPod alternative if you don't have the money for the AirPods, but you want a very similar experience for only $40. You can check them out again in links down below. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.